Just 21 years old, Franco Colapinto has exploded onto the Formula One stage, and in a matter of weeks he's gone from an unknown to the talk of the paddock, not because of controversy or hype, but because of his impressive performances. What makes Franco's performances even more impressive is that he isn't driving a front-running car. He's pulling off these extraordinary feats in a car that, by all expectations, shouldn't even be in contention for points. So, is Franco Colapinto the next big thing in Formula One? To find out, let's dive into the journey that brought him to the F1 grid and discover why the entire motorsport world can't stop talking about him. Like so many drivers before him, Franco Colapinto's journey began behind the wheel of a go-kart. At just 9 years old, he entered the competitive world of karting, and it didn't take long for him to start making his mark. By 2016, at just 13 years old, Colapinto clinched the Argentine championship in the pre-junior class. It was a sign of things to come. The following year, he dominated the junior class at the Buenos Aires Regional Championship. But it was in 2018 that Colapinto truly announced himself to the world of motorsport. That year saw him achieve a remarkable double, winning the Argentine championship in the Sudam class and, in a moment of national pride, securing a gold medal at the Youth Summer Olympics in partnership with Maria Garcia Puig. These accomplishments showed just how talented Colapinto was as a young driver. Yet despite his undeniable talent and success in Argentina, there was a glaring issue that stood in his way, and that was his location. The world of karting in Argentina, though competitive, is far removed from the heart of motorsport, which lies in Europe. For someone aiming for Formula One, Europe is where you need to be, and Franco was thousands of miles away. So at just 14 years old, Franco Colapinto made the toughest decision of his young life, a decision that would change everything. Realizing that his dreams were bigger than his homeland could offer, he left the comfort of his family and everything familiar behind, and with little more than a suitcase and a dream, he moved to Italy, a country whose language he didn't speak, whose culture was foreign to him. For his family, letting him go was heart-wrenching. They watched as their young son left behind everything familiar, home, friends, and family, for an uncertain future. But Franco knew exactly what he wanted, and for him, the decision was one that needed to be made. After arriving in Italy, Franco wasted no time in getting behind the wheel. That same year, in 2018, he made his car racing debut in the final round of the F4 Spanish Championship. Driving for DriveX School, he finished an impressive 9th in his first campaign. The following year, now signed with FA Racing by DriveX for a full season in the F4 Spanish Championship, Colapinto exploded onto the scene. In a championship-winning performance that left seasoned observers slack-jawed, he clinched the title in dramatic fashion, winning all 3 races in the season finale. His stats that season were staggering: 11 victories, 13 podiums, and 14 pole positions. The racing world was starting to take notice. However, the journey to the top was not just about what happened on the track. While many of his competitors had the privilege of returning home to the warmth and support of their families after tough races, Franco's reality was starkly different. He would return to an empty apartment, far away from the familiar comforts of home in Argentina. The isolation weighed heavily on him, especially during the low points of his early career in Europe. But the physical distance from home wasn't his only challenge. Motorsport, unlike many other sports, demands more than just talent. It requires money, and lots of it. Unfortunately, Colapinto's family didn't have the resources to support his rise through the ranks, leaving him at a crossroads. His dream of progressing in single-seater racing was in jeopardy, not because of a lack of talent, but because of the enormous financial burden that comes with competing at the highest levels. Just when it seemed like his racing career might come to a premature halt, a lifeline appeared. Bullet Sports Management, led by FIA GT champion Jamie Campbell-Walter, took Franco under their wing. They worked tirelessly to secure sponsorships and investors to keep his career alive. But with the sponsors came a change in direction. His career was no longer entirely under his control. Toward F1, his sponsors directed him toward endurance racing, which was a far cry from his F1 dream. In 2021, at just 17 years old, he found himself competing in the European and Asian Le Mans Series, driving an Urus 01 for G-Drive Racing. In Asia, he claimed 3 podiums in 4 races, ending the championship 3rd overall, with his co-drivers Rui Andrade and John Falb. In Europe, partnering with future Formula E champion Nick de Vries and Roman Rusanov, he finished an impressive 4th overall. While these experiences expanded his skill set, they came with an unforeseen challenge: the fear that the road to Formula One was slipping further away. Le Mans, despite its prestige, wasn't part of the single-seater path that led to F1. And for a young driver with F1 dreams, each race in endurance felt like a detour rather than a step toward his ultimate goal. The longer he stayed in endurance racing, the more distant Formula One seemed, a reality that weighed heavily on him. Yet despite this diversion, Franco never lost sight of where he wanted to be. Determined to realign his trajectory toward Formula One, in 2022 he took a massive leap and entered FIA Formula 3 with Van Amersfoort Racing. This move marked his return to the single-seater ladder and with it, the revival of his Formula One dream. The move paid immediate dividends. Colapinto started his F3 career with a pole position on his and his team's debut in the series at Sakhir. He followed this up with a win in the sprint race at Imola, scoring his and VAR's maiden victory in the series. Throughout the season, Colapinto took 3 more podium finishes and a second sprint race win at the final round in Monza, finishing 9th in the drivers' standings. January 2023 brought a significant milestone in Colapinto's career. He joined the Williams Driver Academy. This connection to a renowned Formula One team would prove essential in his quest for F1 glory. You know what else is essential? Subscribing to this channel. There are countless stories about F1, and that's exactly what I do. I create amazing stories about F1 drivers, teams, and everything related to F1. So hit that subscribe button and be part of our grid. Let's move on. The 2023 season saw Colapinto continue in Formula 3, now with MP Motorsport. Despite a setback in the season opener in Melbourne, where he was disqualified due to a technical infringement, Franco quickly found his footing. He consistently scored points, clinching 2 victories in the sprint races at Silverstone and Monza, and adding 3 podium finishes to his tally. By the end of the season, he had impressively secured 4th place in the Drivers' Championship, showcasing his undeniable talent and resilience. His standout performances did not go unnoticed, and MP Motorsport's Formula 2 team promoted him for the final race of the 2023 season in Abu Dhabi. Following this successful debut, they signed him for a full campaign in 2024. As the 2024 Formula 2 season unfolded, Colapinto continued to captivate audiences with his skill and determination. He achieved his first F2 victory in the sprint race at Imola, where he also set the fastest lap, signaling his readiness for the challenges ahead. With a remarkable total of 96 points amassed in just half the season, it was clear that Colapinto was not just making waves, he was preparing to make a splash at the top level. Then, in a move that sent shockwaves through the paddock, Williams took the bold step of replacing the underperforming Logan Sargent with Colapinto for the second half of the Formula One season. The initial reaction was one of confusion and skepticism. How could a rookie thrust into the sport mid-season possibly fare better than an established driver? Colapinto's answer was emphatic. In just 3 races, he achieved more than Sargent had in 36 races, blowing expectations out of the water. His debut came at the historic Monza circuit, where he qualified 18th and made up 6 positions on Sunday to finish just 2 places away from the points. It was a solid start, but the best was yet to come. In his second race in Azerbaijan, Colapinto delivered a performance that will be talked about for years to come. Starting from 8th on the grid, he drove a masterful race to finish 8th, scoring his first Formula One points and quadrupling Sargent's total F1 career tally in the process. But it was his 3rd race under the floodlights of Singapore's Marina Bay Street Circuit that truly announced Colapinto as a force to be reckoned with. In what is widely regarded as one of the most physically and mentally demanding races on the calendar, The young Argentine put on a show. Starting 12th, he fought his way through the field with a series of bold overtakes and brave defensive moves, eventually finishing just outside the points in 11th place. What is amazing about Colapinto is his qualifying pace. Qualifying pace is the yardstick by which drivers are measured, the key that unlocks the door to success on race day. And for Colapinto, a rookie thrown into the F1 arena mid-season, his qualifying performances have been nothing short of exceptional. He hasn't just matched expectations, he's surpassed them, even outpacing his experienced teammate Alex Albon on certain occasions. Take Baku, for instance. The unforgiving street circuit is where veterans are supposed to dominate, and rookies are expected to struggle. But that wasn't the case with Colapinto. Not only did he keep pace with Albon, but he also out-qualified him, delivering a lap that silenced doubters. This wasn't a fluke or a flash-in-the-pan effort. This was Franco saying loud and clear, "I belong here." But as impressive as a blistering one-lap speed is, Formula One doesn't hand out points for Saturdays. The real battle begins on Sunday, where drivers have to navigate complex strategies, manage tires, adapt to changing conditions, and, oh yeah, fend off 19 of the world's fastest drivers. For most rookies, the race is where the cracks start to show. Not Colapinto. Race day seems to bring out the best in him, and he has delivered in his 3 races so far. His starts to races have been shockingly sharp, an area where even seasoned drivers often falter. All this is made even more impressive by the circumstances under which Colapinto has been thrown into Formula One. He hasn't had months of testing or the benefit of a full pre-season to get comfortable with the car. No, he was dropped into the deep end with minimal preparation, expected to keep pace with the Sharks. And not only has he kept his head above water, he's thriving. In just 3 races, Colapinto has gone from a relative unknown to one of the most talked about talents on the grid. He hasn't just exceeded expectations, he's shattered them, turning heads and proving that even in the modern era of Formula One, a rookie can still make a splash. His performance even earned the high praise of 6-time Grand Prix winner Sergio Perez, who said over the radio that Colapinto was very good and difficult to pass. Colapinto's performances have put him firmly on the radar for a full-time seat, and if his trajectory is anything to go by, it's only a matter of time before Franco Colapinto is leading the charge for Williams, or perhaps even beyond. The future looks bright for Franco Colapinto. He is not just broken into Formula One, he has announced himself as a star of the future. For a sport always on the lookout for the next big thing, Colapinto might just be it. In just 21 short years, he has reignited Argentina's passion for Formula One and proven that with enough grit and skill, no dream is too big.